Today we are going to discuss about the novels, society and the history of novels coming into society. As in the previous part of the chapters of discussion, we have seen how did the printing concept got developed. How did John Gutenberg discovered a continuous printing machine which created a great history by printing Bible. Huge volumes of Bible, nearly 180 copies of Bible are printed in a very short span of 3 years. That's how the great revolution of printing has been started. We also focused light on what is the basic intention for the Chinese people to develop that large scale printing as a major aspect for them. Now, moving on to the further developments of printing, the contribution of printing was very much more on the novelty. So the novels are actually could not be have born without the printing machine being born. If printing machine was not invented, obviously the novels would not have been there. That's how the novels and printing are very closely associated with each other. Now let us finalize or find out in this unit how did the novels get famous in the West and in the East. In the West, let us take an example case study of how it happened in England and France. In the same way, we shall also focus in our national interest. How did the novels reach to larger number of people in India also? Now moving on to the main part of the lesson. The introduction of the lesson starts with the novels and the importance of the novels. Novels are the printed matter of books which are available for the readers by paying some cost. So it is a printed book which is available to the readers. Now the point is, as the printing cost has come down, the possibility of printing books has been erased. So when the possibility of printing books are erased, we need a huge number of people to read them in order to make the books popular. So that's how the books have become very popular with closely associated with the printing. Now moving on into our lesson, how did the novels got raised very well? The rise of novels. The novels are the modern form of literature. In the old form of literature, we can remember Manu Dharma Shastra or manuscripts. The manuscripts are written on the sheets of leaves which are very thick and very fragile. It is very delicate and it is problematic for us to carry from one place to another place, and to preserve them and to take care of them is also a costly affair. But moving on to the books, the papers, again in the papers we have good quality of paper and also the cheap quality of paper. So all these things made printing very easy, cost of the book in a considerable level. That's how the modern form of literature started to develop on a very large scale with the invention of printing. If printing was not there, today the novels would not have been there. Maybe they have been printed but not in a very large scale. That's what we have to understand from here on a larger scale. Now moving on to the development of novels in England. In England and France, we have the development of the novels coming up in the 17th and the 18th centuries. So in the 17th and the 18th centuries, as we discussed earlier, that the concept of reading was being inculcated into the people, especially the categories like children, women, working men. All these people started to develop the habit of reading to understand themselves, to understand the society's growth and also to develop themselves professionally. So all these things added a great feature for the 17th and the 18th centuries in England as well as in France. Now the readers started to grow in a large number, because when the readers are in large number, the authors or the writers who are writing the books will be free from the burdens of economy. That's what it is rightly said, that free from the financial dependence. Who told this statement? The statement like free from the financial dependence is given by Henry Fieldings. Henry Fieldings is a writer who created a new provinces of writing, who created a new genre of writing, who initiated the writing in a very larger scale. Do you think the writers are really independent or they are dependent? if you look at the payments which are paid for the writers, in the 17th century and the present day, there is a lot of variation. In the 17th century, our writers are being paid 6 volumes of books are being paid. For each book, they used to pay 3 shillings. That 3 shillings are not more than a week's salary or a wage of a daily wage labor, which means they are a bit better in a position when compared to the daily wage laborers. But the interesting point or the main key point what we need to analyze here is that as reader number increased, the sections of people who are reading have been increased, the authors and the writers started to acquire more money because the libraries, the publishers started to understand the need that if you hire a book, we can have more number of public coming into our library. So this hourly basis also we can earn something. So the books are attracting people to the library. That made the possibility of increasing the importance of the authors economically and also in the societal aspects. That's the meaning of the word free from the financial dependence. So the first writer who created history was Henry Fieldings, who wrote in a new genre the book name called Thomas Jones or Thomas Jones. This Thomas Jones book was released in 1749. It has been released in 6 volumes. For each volume, he received a payment of nearly 3 shillings. That was not too high according to the modern days, but it was a bit good amount during that times. Moving on to the next aspect, Walter Scott. Walter Scott was another fantastic writer who wrote a book called Scottish Clans Clash, or the clash between the Scottish clans. But before writing the book, he went to the people, he collected all the famous Scottish ballads and maintained a record of them and induced them in the story wherever he brought the issues of Scottish people, clans, different clans fighting with each other, arguing with each other, having a group association. So all these things, he connected the ballads with the regular story and created a remarkable book. And later, when we move on to the epistolary novel, epistolary novel is a novel which is having expression of feelings of love letters between two people, especially between the lovers. So the epistolary novel, famous known as Pamela. Pamela novel is written by Samuel Richardson. The Samuel Richardson's Pamela has been very famous. It got very well connected to the people. How fast it got connected to the people is that the people, after reading the books, these books, as we all know that in cities and in towns we have libraries, but when it comes to villages, it has been a very difficult task for the people to read the books and all. So whoever likes the book, he reads the book and he carries the book to the village and reads the book in a gathering or in a place where all 4 or 5 people can listen it and understand that one. That's how the publishing went on to larger sections of people. Now let us move our focus of attention towards publishing market. How was the publishing market in those days? As I told you till now, publishing market was not so high in the initial days.